So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about a certain deck, and I'll just give a little bit of a descriptor. So, during the main phase one, you will not be able to activate any of your effects on any of my monsters because they're simply going to be unaffected, but it's only during the main phase, so surely it's fair. And it is possible for me to make it so that you cannot do anything in the battle phase, so that won't be really consequential for me. And you know, my deck is able to go first or second pretty exceptionally well. And also, let's see what else. I'm able to uh, do a lot of things that a lot of people might say is kind of unfair. And my deck plays around a lot of things just randomly for existing. And if I get the field spell, it might feel sacky and unfair. Of course, there's only one deck I could be talking about. Dinosaur. I don't know what else you guys would be thinking. So yeah, Lost World. Honestly, this card here, pretty absurd. So the attack defense just this part not that important. This effect here, pretty disgusting. Once per turn, if a dinosaur monster is normal or special summoned, except during the damage step, you can special summon one Drake token. Dinosaur Earth level 1, attack 0, defense 0, monster to your opponent's field in defense position while your opponent controls a token. It doesn't matter what token, apparently, but just a token. You cannot target monsters on the field with card effects except for tokens. Once per turn, if a normal monster on the field would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy that many dinosaur monsters in your hand and or deck instead. So Lost World, this is pretty sacky because, you know, it's not super easily searchable. It is technically searchable now because they added the fusion monster. Not 100% sure how you get into that fusion monster, honestly, but yeah, that's not as good as if we were to directly open Lost World to begin with. So Lost World does a lot of things. So first off, just by giving our opponent a token, Lost World stops a lot of things, and also it chain blocks because it's a trigger effect that will just activate, right? So if we do 2 triggers, we can chain block with Lost Worlds and make it pretty impossible to interact with. So we can go Oviraptor effect to add Miscellaneous, Lost World, Chainlink 2. Or if we already have Misk, then we can use this to add a baby, I believe, is the play. So we can do that, or we can add, if we're feeling exceptionally cracked, we can add a second baby. Or not second baby, a second Misk for next turn. But just giving our opponent this token, it prevents our opponent from activating something like, for example, an Exosister Martha, special summoning a Kishtira. So some monsters will require you to control no monsters or no monsters except a specific type to be able to kind of play the game, I guess, right? So if our opponent gives us a monster, yeah, well, we're unable to play the game. Like with Kishtira, there is no super easy way to out that token that we are given. So that is pretty brutal, I guess. And then we have the effect here to destroy a dinosaur monster in the hand or deck instead, which for dinosaur just pluses you. And honestly, dinosaur throughout like pretty much the entirety of Master Duel, except maybe when, well, it's arguable at this point, but when Tearlament was like full power in Master Duel, I guess, as far as I'm concerned, you know, having all of the Ishizu cards and whatnot, that might have been the point in time I think that dinosaur might arguably have been the worst. I can't really think of another time except for kind of maybe at the start of the game where Eldlik was very predominant and we had Eldlik stun, but I mean, at that point you could play Lost World, or not Lost World, Dinosaur as a going second deck and you can just jam in a bunch of backer removals, so it's not like actually the worst there. But yeah. Once per turn, if a normal monster on the field would be destroyed by ball or card effect, you can't crash your token. And then there's also the fact of your opponent cannot target monsters on the field with card effects, period. So this is pretty obnoxious. So by target monsters, it means target monsters. It doesn't mean you can't target your opponent's monsters. It means you can't target monsters, period. So if we had a card like a rank up, you would not be able to activate the rank up because you don't have a valid target, because the only thing you can legally target is the token. So you cannot target your monsters with the rank up. So therefore you cannot activate a rank up magic, just for example. So anything like that that targets your own cards, can't activate those. Anything that targets your opponent's cards, you can't activate that either. So yeah, pretty brutal. And of course this turns off Imperm, Evenly, Gamma, and of course it chain blocks. So it deals with Gamma already by itself. Like you can't even kind of just let Gamma rip. So very disgusting in that regard. And if we have Misk in hand already, we can just deal with the Imperm by activating Misk, because we're probably going to Misk either way. So yeah, pretty tough stuff, I guess. So that's just part of it, but I guess it's also worth mentioning that this turns off Lightning Storm, which is going to be semi-limited. So I guess that's kind of a nerf in one sense. But if we activate Misk, this is going to be on any main phase. This is going to make it so your dinosaur monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. So that's pretty gnarly, I guess. This first effect is only during the main phase. Alright. But then there's also a graveyard effect attached onto this. So you can banish any number of dinosaur monsters from your graveyard, including this card. Special summon a dinosaur monster from your deck with a level equal to the total number of monsters banished to activate its effect, but destroyed during the end phase. So this can summon a baby, or can summon the Anima Adorned, which can pop the babies. It could also technically summon a soul-eating Oviraptor, but for the most part, it's probably going to summon this guy, and it's going to add you an evolution pill, and then you will summon something like some kind of high-level dino. Usually Ultimate Conductor, though. An Ultimate Conductor, of course, is pretty nasty because you won't be able to activate anything. But for the most part, yeah, you won't be able to activate anything during the battle phase because, well, unless you have link monsters, those can't be flipped face down. But if you do not, then all of your guys will be flipped face down, and you can use Pentastag to get piercing, and you can also make Ultimate Conductor Tyranno really big by doubling its attack, much like a certain other list. So we can make Dugaris to double this, and it can attack everything, and we can give it piercing with Pentastag. So we're able to do so by summoning this under an EMZ and then summoning Pentastag above the EMZ. And then Ultimate Conductor Tyranno would have 7k and piercing and multiple attacks, being able to attack over everything. And if necessary, we can also use the effect to send instead and inflict 1,000 damage as burn. So a lot of options, honestly. And yeah, these are just some basic tools that Dino has, but there's also, of course, ripping your opponent's extra deck, which is pretty nasty as well. So if we have True King Lithosagum or the Field Spell, which grabs Lithosagum, we can pop some of our Earth monsters, which the babies are. So Baby Cerosaurus is, of course, an Earth monster. So if we were to, for example, let's say, pop a Baby Cerosaurus, we were allowed to pop in hand or face up on the field. We can pop Baby Sarah, both. Soft ones per turn, by the way, so if we summon them back with Spray Elf, we could also pop them again that way. And these guys are, of course, a level 2, allowing us to make Spray Elf as well. And of course, also worth mentioning is Lost World gives our opponent a monster, allowing us to bring back a Link 2 monster as well, instead of like a Baby Sarah if we so chose. We have that option as well. And then we have True King Lithosag of the Disaster to rip 3 monsters from the extra deck and to banish them. They do have to be different names though, so we can't just like banish 3 copies of, for example, Promethean Princess. So there's that kind of downside, but this gives us an insane amount of knowledge and removes our opponent's options. So that's pretty nasty, I guess. So we have all of those effects. And yeah, so let's list what we're unable to do real quick as a recap. So with Lost World, we're unable to summon any monster that requires us to control no monsters and stuff like that. So can't do that. We're not able to target our opponent's cards, specifically their monsters, with any card effect. So traps don't work. Not only traps, spells, monsters, we just can't target, period. Any monsters. In fact, we cannot even target our own monsters. So if we were to, for example, have Mechanical Arabesque, the only thing we could really equip Arabesque onto is the token, which is arguably just useless. And in fact, we can trigger Lost World again if you were to get rid of the token. I kind of forgot to mention this, but if we have Baby Sarah on our end board with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, we can use Tyranno effect to pop. This kind of pops kind of for cost, and then it pops the Baby Sarah. Well, it's not a genuine cost, it's still an effect, right? Yeah. So we can use that to pop Baby Sarasaurus, and then Baby Sarasaurus will special summon a dinosaur monster from the deck. So in this case, what you would probably do is you would summon like Soul Eating Oviraptor, and then have it grab Misk, and then make your monsters unaffected during the main phase. So you can do that. And then that triggers Lost World as well, like giving your opponent a token. Another annoying quality about this is that, of course, the tokens will take up your zones. So if zones are important to you, well, we can mess up the zones with Lost World. So, for example, if you're playing Cybers, we can give you a token that you probably can't link off to we can put this right below your EMZ, which messes up with your zones. Or yeah, this messes up your zones. And then if we have 2 of these guys, maybe you can't link off at all, and you're left with 3 main monster zones to make your plays with, getting arguably worse and worse over time. So yeah, that's pretty nasty as well, just as a side effect of that. And then of course we have True King Lithosagum, which, you know, just rips your extra deck. And I think this is actually searchable now, because the guy that searches Lost World just generically can search any field spell, so that's a little bit nasty. So you can also play Secret Village instead of Lost World if you're feeling like playing that instead. But Lost World, of course, insulates your own plays on the first turn as well, so a little bit better than Secret Village if you're going first, like immediately at the start of your turn, and going second. This can be a somewhat useful effect, making your opponent unable to target you. Well, any of your monsters on the field at least. That is pretty nasty. Now that I think about it, wait, if you have Lost World, that's great against Telement, because all of their cards target for the most part. Oh, so you had an okay matchup. It's not like your matchup was that bad, but hey, I guess it is what it is. All right. So let's see. Aside from this, I guess it's also worth mentioning that with Soul Eating Oviraptor, I believe It adds any dinosaur monster, allowing you to also add kaijus. And Fossil Dig being an archetype Rhoda. Let's see, take one dinosaur monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Yeah, it's just any dinosaur monster from your main deck. And then with Fossil Dig, this is just a non-hard once per turn Rhoda that you can play that grabs any dinosaur that is level 6 or lower. Not that I know why you would grab anything higher than level 4. I've never seen anyone really do this. Except I guess there is this new card, but I don't even know if you want it in hand. It's called like Xeno Meteorus or something. But alright. Pretty rough. And I guess, yeah. During the battle phase, you probably won't be able to do anything because, you know, this deck sets up a billion negates. We have Lost World to prevent you from targeting monsters. We have True King Lithosegum to remove guys from the extra. We can play a lot of powerful cards that a lot of other decks may not be able to play so easily. Like we can just throw in like Dark Ruler no more. Lightning Storm, we can play going second cards if we wish, because we're not so strict with the non-engine here, and we're able to go both first and second pretty efficiently with Dinosaur. So Dinosaur is just all-time pretty consistent, I think. Like, what would be good against this anyways? So yeah, pretty tough stuff to have to try to deal with, I guess. And the guys being unaffected, of course, would stop them from like being affected by something like a Forbidden Droplet, which is pretty nasty in my opinion. But alright. Let's see. The only way, if you were playing a going second deck, to get Droplet off on this is if you were to immediately shotgun the Droplet, I believe, right? Otherwise, there's no reason to activate anything at all. So if we were to activate a Rhoda or anything, it doesn't matter, like activate a spell card, activate Chain Forbidden Droplet. You can't do that immediately because I'll have a response with Misk. So it can chain Misk to that. But I guess Forbidden Droplet will resolve first. So I guess that sequence works. But you would have to send a monster, which kind of sucks here. Anyways. And anyways, we'll talk about some endboard pieces that we have for Dino. So you can easily put onto the endboard a bunch of the evil sword guys. So we have Lars, which is 2 Omni negates. Specifically, this is going to be a targeted Omni negate. So that's pretty nasty. This can technically negate a Dark Ruler no more if the exact sequence plays out, where we, let's say, go Dark Ruler no more, chain 1, chain 2, some sort of trap, and then our opponent chains something else. Like, that's not super likely to happen, but if it does, I mean, technically this could negate a Dark Ruler no more then. Well, it's the type of negate that works on that. We also have the other evils who are rank 4s, so these guys are both pretty nasty, honestly. So evils are Dolka is 2 monster negates, and then evils or Logia is a Solemn Judgment and a spell trap card negate. So pretty nasty, and also this negates activation, so this works in damage step. So yeah, pretty nasty stuff. And yeah, I can't think of a super good way to deal with these guys just in general when you also pair this with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. And then there's like a Misk on top of this to consider, and then on top of that you have to consider Lost World, and then also this isn't the full end board because you can also slap Apollosa onto your end board, and then also on top of that we have Warlord Savage, which we slap onto our end board as well. So it's like Omni negate, spell trap negate, several monster negates, Book of Eclipse, your dinosaur guys are not affected, and also you can't even target monsters, and also there are a bunch of staples that are disabled by Lost World. Just while we're at it, just for good measure. And then back to this Drinking Lithosagum. Uh, keep in mind, on top of all the other things, your opponent could have looked into your extra deck and ripped 3 guys. So, for example, we could go ahead and banish the Atlantis, Promethean Princess, and then SP or Link Rebo, whatever we're feeling. So we could do that, and then if you're playing Snake Eye, you're left with not much. I don't really know what you're going to do at this point, but yeah, that's brutal, ain't it? So yeah, this is essentially what Dinosaur does as a quick summary, and it just has so much going for it. I don't know. Would you guys consider this deck unfair? Well, I'm thinking, and that there aren't that many weaknesses to this deck, honestly. I guess Zombie World's good, at least into this. Makes it pretty hard to play. Not having dinosaurs anymore, you know? But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And hopefully this has gotten you a little bit interested into maybe doing a little bit of research, trying to play Dinosaur. If you guys want to see me go more in detail on dinos and what they do and go through all their lines and all that, let me know in the comments below, and I might just do that. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.